inspections today.
The Wheeling Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, August 18th, 2013 is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Dorband.
I'm here.
Commissioner Stylen.
I'm here too.
Commissioner Powers.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson, I'm here. Commissioners Zangara and Schaaf both are absent with prior notice, and Chairman Raffato.
Here. Mr. Jennings, any changes to the agenda?
We have no changes this evening.
Number 5 is citizens' concerns and comments. Does anybody have anything that they would like to speak about in general? Nope. Consent items, docket number SCBA 13-22, La Michoacana de Mikey. It is an ice cream shop that is going to be opening up on McHenry Road. Appearance approval for wall signs. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second, with a question.
Yes.
Being new, Andrew, can you tell me real quick, what is considered a raceway on a sign?
The raceway is the metal strip here where the wiring and some of the other electrical components are located. So from the section view, this is what you're looking at here. So when you have an individual letter sign like this, the easiest way to construct the sign is to mount it on the raceway on the ground and then install the entire raceway onto the wall.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion and a second.
Motion was made by me and seconded by Commissioner Dorband. I vote yes. Commissioner Dorband?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers?
Yes.
Commissioner Stylen?
Yes.
And Chairman Raffato.
Yes. Items for review, docket number PC 13-6, Lexington Commons Plaza, 1041 through 1081 Lake Cook Road, minor site plan and appearance approval for facade modifications. Mr. Jennings?
As the commission would recall, I'm sure, the shopping center was recently in front of you for the special use and appearance approval related to the outlot, which is a 2-unit building, including the new Starbucks, which is beginning construction. The shopping center management at that time had indicated that they would be back in front of you for modifications to the shopping center itself. And at this time, they're proposing a modification of the facade, very similar to the treatment on the outbuilding. We do have the architect for the project here with us.
Great.
And there are samples here as well.
Great, thank you. If you could introduce yourself and give our recording secretary your name and business address, that'd be great, thank you.
Name is Terry Frisch, Featherstone Consulting, and the name is F-R-I-S-C-H. Featherstone Consulting, 32 Fawn Ridge Drive, and that's in Oakwood Hills. Okay, basically, as Mr. Jennings had said, we're going to redo the facade. The building has a very odd colored green canopy on it. We're going to remove that canopy and do a new stucco facade similar to the elevations that we have presented for the new outlot building. Basically, we're following the same format. I mean, the building has like several different steps from the center as it moves to the sides, it steps back. About 2 feet per step, except for the 2 end wings, which step back about 6 feet. What we're doing is we're going to maintain that same step back relationship, but instead of the roof sloping back, as they do kind of in a mansard look now, we're just extending them straight up and doing a kind of a cornice top canopy on it, or at the top of the wall. Again, we're using the similar colors that were used on the outlot building, alternating the white stucco with the clay on the lower parapet walls. And then we'd do a sign band along the lower portion of the canopy, so that there won't be any signage up on the upper portion. It'll all be on the lower 4-foot band that's running around. Basically, the only other thing we're doing, we're going to replace the sidewalk, because the sidewalk's in bad condition all the way across the front of the building. And then the existing brick piers have been damaged over the years, and we're going to take the brick off. It's a steel column in the center. We're going to pull the brick off of those and reface those brick piers. And that's what the brick sample, that's a pretty close match to the existing building brick that's on the front of the building. Other than that, any questions I can try to answer.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Powers.
Thank you. Andrew, are they eligible for any TIF funding or any kind of like facade improvement funding at all?
Not in this location, no.
Okay. When you put the facade up, are you going to take the existing signs down and then put them back up, or will you be coming back for some new signs?
I think the intent was to try to redo all the signage and try to make it more consistent. I haven't got definitive on that particular item at this point. I'm assuming we'll have to come back and do some more signage work once we get the facade up. The thing, I think, again, just go for a moment, I'll just try to backtrack. Instead of doing the individual letters, they are talking about doing the raceways on each of the sections rather than poking holes for each individual letter. So that'll be one of the things that they're going to try to move towards rather than individual lettering.
Are there currently any downspouts in the old facade, or
No.
And will there be any in the new facade at all?
No, all of the water from the whole building sheds towards the back. There's the gutter running all the way along the back of the building. All the roofs slope toward the back, so there's no downspouts or gutters on the front of the building at all.
I have a question about the HVAC screening. The current units that are up there now, is there any screening up there at all, or does the current facade screen it when you're back like a certain distance?
Yeah, I think the current facade screens the entire, this facade is even taller than the current facade. So I don't believe you can see those units on this particular, on the front building, the original front building, you could definitely see the units. I don't think you can see any of the units on the current building even.
And Andrew, there wouldn't be any need for any type of additional screening? The facade, is it shown to us, would suffice?
Well, as it's shown to us, we are not able to see the locations of the rooftop units. We would work with them as we get closer to permit on something like this. We would have them double check. That's one of the conditions of approval suggested by staff, is just that we confirm that the rooftop units are going to be screened. It appears that they would be based on the information we have.
Okay. There was a comment in the packet that said replace existing concrete walks at shared areas with new walks to include depressed curbs for accessibility. Does that mean like every, I don't know, 40 feet there's a depressed curb so you can like walk up into it? I mean, it's not like the whole sidewalk.
No, there are, I believe there's 4 locations across the front of the building, and they're at the locations where the handicap parking is located. So they'd be immediately adjacent. You can see there's 2 sections of handicap parking right in the center. There's another one at the far end. Maybe there's only 3 locations, but I think there's one at the east end of the sidewalk also. So there's just basically 4 locations adjacent to those handicapped parking spaces.
Okay, and I guess there is a question about if you're going to do an alternative elevation for the east side, is that somewhat to match what you're doing for the west side?
The east side alternate basically the two ends of the setbacks are set back about 6 feet from the preceding face of the line. And the difficulty we're having, or have had in the past, is since that's set back so far and there's a fairly small unit on that east side, their signage gets hidden, especially if you're going east to west, you can't see the sign until you're like right in front of the store. So the thought was to just pull that section of the facade out so it has the same 2-foot setback that all the other ones have. That way that signage would be more visible from the street.
Yeah, I would hope that you guys could do that, but I understand.
Yeah, I think that the issue is, and that's why it's really an alternate on this set of plans, there's a pretty good cost to do that. We have to span that with a fairly good-sized beam because we didn't want to add additional columns in that front section, so.
Okay, that'll be it for now. Thank you.
Commissioner Dorban.
Well, I had the same question about the parapet. I think, I just am curious, when did you plan on starting this project?
They would like to start this as soon as possible. I know it's still got to get permits and all that stuff, but I think they were trying to do it yet this year, but depending on how the timing goes, it may be the first of next year before they can get it started.
And let's see, I did have, I think that's the question I had was, and are we using EFS pretty regularly? I thought we were not, we were trying to get away from that.
Commission has been trying to keep it up away from the ground level. Typically, the issue that we've seen with it is damage at the ground level. It is somewhat fragile to things like hand trucks, packages, things like that running into it.
Well, being that it's fragile, when they put the raceway up there, will that eliminate the problem of them having to screw things into the board so that it doesn't crack and splinter and?
It's probably not so much that it would crack and splinter. It's that every time you put one of those letters up, you're punching holes in it, which is fine for the initial time. But then once you pull those letters off, that tenant moves out and somebody else comes in. Now you're trying to patch, and eventually it starts to look pretty hodgepodge again. So the raceway is more consistent, and they'll try to use a similar raceway on all the units so that it'll all match.
Okay, and I guess the only question I would have as far as the raceway is concerned is if you were to get a new tenant and it's replaced, that we make sure that the raceway is, either repainted or.
Yeah, the raceway should match, the color of the raceway should match the
because
panel.
I would hate to have a chip behind the letters, so that's the only questions I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Stalin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One thing that you said was that the new parapet is going to be a little bit taller than the old one, and I think the old one slants back. This is going to be a little bit more vertical. Andrew, has the fire department reviewed this at all? I know they normally have a concern about parapets and having to put ladders over, and sometimes they ask for catwalks and stuff to let their people stand on the other side. Has that
In this
been
case,
reviewed by them at all?
I don't believe they have seen this yet. They would see it during a permit review. Usually their concern, in my experience with it, has been if you have a wrap where the entire additional facade, like in this direction, if it was going around the building, and what they've asked for in those cases where you have a full parapet to have some sort of ladder access permanently attached. But in this case, I don't think they'll have that concern because the rest of the roof doesn't have quite that high of a parapet on it. So we'll run it by them, but I think that in this case, they will probably be okay with this.
Because, it looked like in the rear, there didn't appear a lot of room for fire trucks and stuff like that. So if they had to get onto the roof, they'd probably go through the front, and that was the reason for my concern. And then you said you're going to mount the new signs on the band that's basically the same location that it is today. Was there any thought to allowing signs to move up into the new parapet area? Is it capable of supporting signs if?
It's certainly capable of, it's just basically the same construction, the whole facade's basically the same construction, so it would support the sign. I think we were just trying to keep it more consistent and keeping all of the signs within that 4-foot linear band rather than have some up high, some low.
Yeah, I hear you, but I mean, Starbucks has stuff up on the top of theirs, and if you got some, I don't want to say big, but
there's not going to be any
commercially oriented, well-known brand might like to have a bigger sign. It is capable of.
It's capable of doing it. I'm not saying we couldn't, but we're going to try not to allow it if we can.
Okay. And when Starbucks was in here, we asked them and the owners of the shopping center to install an irrigation tap, I guess I'll call it, such that they were talking about coming back and remodeling their facility, that they might be able to tap into the Starbucks end coupling, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And, if it came down to irrigation versus extending out that east end of the building, I think it'd be much better for everybody to get that east end of the building out as far as possible.
Okay.
But if they can't do that, I would surely like them to maybe take that money that they almost had and do something with making use of that tap that Starbucks put in.
I guess you're saying we just extend it down Lake Cook.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's not that wide of a frontage, just a few sprinkler heads here and there, I think would do it. Anyway, that's my comment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. I believe all my questions have been answered. I think it's a nice-looking upgrade to this shopping center that really needs it.
Okay.
That's all I had. Thanks.
Thank you. Andrew, could you go back to the rendering? Okay, so the colors are going to alternate?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're doing, again, the white on the taller parapets and the clay color on the shorter ones.
Okay. And Mr. Steinle, you were talking, in this case, you were talking about moving the signs up higher? Is that?
Into that more rectangular
space.
I just thought that a large national company might like to have a little more prominent.
I guess that would have to be up to them as they come in, right? But my question was, when you talked about the signs and them being more consistent, could you expound on that? Are you talking about going with a sign district, in essence saying that each sign for each business has to be the same?
No, I don't know that we'd make them the same, but we want to, certainly in height-wise, we want to, try to maintain a consistent height on the signs, try to light them similar so that, and while the colors may be different, we wouldn't, I mean, that's kind of up to your preview as to what colors you would accept on the signs, but usually they have different colors for the different types of tenants, and I don't think we would limit the colors, but.
Okay. Because I don't think as a board we would want that. I mean, we look for more creativity in our signs. So.
I think we're just looking for more consistency rather than just haphazard signs just thrown on there.
Okay. Okay. I just don't want us to get into a place where everything looks the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. That's fine. Does anybody else have any other questions? Mr. Jennings, what conditions do we have?
have number 1, the building materials and colors shall match those approved in conjunction with docket number 2013-5, which was the Starbucks. Number 2, the petitioner provide confirmation that the new fascia and parapet will screen the existing rooftop units. Number 3, that the alternate elevation is also acceptable, subject to building permit review. And there's a note in here that the motion is being updated to reference the drawing that you see on the screen now, showing alternating color of the ephes area.
What about, I had the same concern with the fire department and the facade.
Okay, I will add that in.
Thank you. We have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Powers, seconded by Commissioner Stylin. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Powers?
Yes.
Commissioner Stylin?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, I say yes. And Chairman Raffato?
Yes.
5 yes, 2 absent.
Thank you. You'll just have something to sign, and then you can be on your way. You know, we're going to be done shortly. I mean,
Okay, I guess I can wait.
yeah, it has to. Right. I have to call this one, right? Open it.
No, technically they did not meet the requirements for public notice. I think we can just note. Preemptively continued.
Okay, so we don't have to say anything on B. We'll just go right to it.
Okay.
We're not going to open it.
Yeah, because
Right.
it's on the agenda. We have
Right.
to.
Oops, sorry.
Tell the owner thanks to. Tell the owner thanks to. It's gonna look awesome.
Docket number 2013-14, banquet facility, 1918 South Wolf Road, is, Andrew, what would be the correct wording for this?
The item is not being opened at this time. The public notice for that will be set for the September 13th meeting. We just need a motion, as the newspaper notice did indicate that it would be tonight, and we're catching up with the petitioner's letters. We just do need a motion to continue that to September 13th. Excuse me, 12th.
Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The voice vote?
Voice vote is fine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, calling docket number 2013-15, Party Fantasy, 7150 Capitol Drive, special use site plan amendment to indoor sports and recreation facility. Mr. Jennings.
Thank you. Docket number 2013-15, Party Fantasy Raceway. As you will, I'm sure, recall, this business was in front of the Plan Commission not too long ago, I believe in April, for a special use hearing. The Plan Commission recommended that the business be allowed a special use. The board then approved the special use. During the discussion of a recent liquor license meeting, Liquor Control Commission meeting, the business went through some of the details of the operation with the board. While the board was generally in favor of them continuing, there were conditions of approval that the board thought would be more appropriate within the special use, and requested that the petitioner return to the Plan Commission to establish on the record with a public hearing a recommendation relating to the specifics of the operation with respect to liquor service. So that is the purpose of this hearing. There would still be a board review of this amendment to the special use, as well as a separate review of the liquor license. The reason for this being that the liquor license doesn't typically have very detailed conditions of approval attached to it. And with a special use, there is an opportunity to have very specific conditions related to the operation. And so that's the purpose of this meeting. We have a representative of the business here this evening to open this hearing and discuss questions of the commission.
Great, thank you. Could you, this is a
new hearing.
This is a new hearing. So if we could raise your hand, right hand, do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
Could you give your name and work address to our recording secretary?
Julie Smalucha. SMOLUCHA. 70 Party Fantasy Raceway. 7150 Capitol Drive.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Secretary, could you read in what the motions,
Yes.
docket item is?
Docket 2013-15, Adi Moore, President of Party Fantasy, seeking an amendment to ordinance number 4775, passed June 3rd, 2013, which granted special use site plan approval to establish an indoor sports and recreation facility in order to permit liquor service for catered banquet events at 7150 Capitol Drive. Standards for special use, as defined in Title 19 of the Village of Wheeling zoning, is a use of a parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to circumstances or effects on the surrounding properties that may adversely affect them. In order to be considered for a special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at the public hearing why their request meets the conditions of the village code, including but not limited to how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that their request for a special use meets the standards established in Title 19. The commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the village board. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Now, if you can explain the proposal for tonight?
Party Fantasy Raceway is a...
Could you speak into the microphone?
Party Fantasy Raceway is a family entertainment center. We plan to be open Tuesday through Sunday, 10 to 10, possibly Sunday only till 6. I'm not really sure on the hours. The family's on vacation, and I'm just stepping in for them. It's open to the public. You come in, and it's for whole families, young kids, as well as teenagers and adults. There's different variety of activities that are done there. There's a climbing wall, a raceway, party rooms, arcade, and a lounge area for people to relax. While we can make money at having walk-ins at $10 or driving heats, $12 a heat, $22 a heat, $30 for 3 heats, we know that we make more money as booking parties. And as we found in the Mundelein area, it's more lucrative to actually close down and have a banquet or a lot of bar mitzvahs, birthday parties, companies holding special corporate events will actually rent the place out for 4 hours. And these type of parties typically will have will want to serve alcoholic beverages. So that's why we're here today, in order to be able to, cater to private parties and have a liquor license.
And in the, part of this is the restricted access for driving the go-karts, so could you explain that a bit?
We definitely do not want to cater to drinking and driving, so we've come up with a plan that once, we're going to advise everybody to participate in the driving or climbing wall or whatever prior to having a cocktail. And once they have a cocktail, they'll be stamped with an invisible ink that lasts for 24 hours, and there'll be black lights both at the bartender station and at the person that's admitting into the raceway. And if they have a stamp on their hand, they're not going to be permitted to drive.
Okay. Great. Any other things to share with us?
We did, we had been working with the petitioner for some time on how to represent the hand stamp. We were sent a video and a link to the manufacturer's website. The video is a little bit hard to display here, but we did take from the manufacturer's website. They had a video showing the ink with and without a black light. So these are captures from the video showing the ink. It's the same type of ink that you see used at places like Great America. When you re-enter, they'll stamp you so you can get back in. Similar sort of concept. And we have sent the video and the manufacturer specifications to the police department for their review to make sure that they are taking a look at this as well, and hence the condition of approval in the suggested motion.
Great.
Maybe something else that you might not be aware of. Adi Moore owns Garden Fresh Market, and I've been working for him for 10 years, and he has a tremendous catering team. Shoshi Moore, who runs it, has booked parties anywhere from 25 people to over 500 people. And we've done full service, $300 plate dinners, and we've done meat and cheese trays. We are very good at what we do. Full service, we hire in bartenders that have Bassett training. We use professional servers, and then we have our chefs that are serving and making sure everything goes out plated correctly. So this is something that is not new to us. This is something we've done for a very long time, and we're very, very successful at it.
Great, thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on the matter? Nope. Okay. So we'll start off with Commissioner Dorban.
Well, I think my questions have been answered. I don't know that there's anything else for us to do, except either we're going to vote for it or against it, but I don't know that there's anything, there's no other conditions that we need to add to this. Are there, Andrew?
The conditions from the staff report, I think, are the extent of what the staff has suggested. If there's something else that you've heard from the testimony, you could certainly pass on additional conditions to the board.
Then I have no other questions.
Commissioner Stiley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few questions. In the packet of materials that we received this evening, it said that during these, call it special events, bar mitzvahs, whatever, that it would be closed to the general public.
Absolutely.
And that is always going to be true for any event where you will be serving alcohol or having alcohol available, that it will be, your entire establishment will be completely closed to the public?
That's correct. we first want to be a family entertainment center, and in no way does alcohol at a bar support a family entertainment center. But there is a lot of money to be made in these private parties, and this is what they want. And so, able to be Wheeling's party place or destination, you know, we would like to have that opportunity to be able to serve wine, beer.
Sure.
Mixed.
And do you have any idea, you must have a business plan or something for this. How many events are you planning to have per week, per month?
It would be great if we could book a couple per month, but I would take 2 every weekend. So it's all on how many we can book. Go out there and get.
So if you said you're going to have 2 every weekend, that then your building would be closed during the weekends and only open to the general public during Monday through Fridays?
No, it's usually a banquet is 4 hours. That's what a booking usually is, maybe 6 hours, and it's usually in the evening. It would still be open during the day, like as a Saturday.
How would you
or
inform your general public that, you know, normally shows up on a weekend to do something that they're closed now for 4
We have,
hours?
if you visit our website, partyfantasy.net, we're not on there for the Raceway, but currently we have a calendar right on our landing page. So when people want to come out, you know, they'll push that day and see what's going on that day, whether it's an event that children can play at or be interested in, or if it's closed. Because we have erratic hours like that. And when the school starts, there's no reason to be open, you know, Monday through Friday, all day long, like we are now during the summertime. So we do close during the days, most, you know, Monday through Thursday, and then Thursday night they'll open again, and sometimes they'll open on a Tuesday or...
I didn't realize that you were going to have a calendar of events posted somewhere on the web. I think that's a great idea that will help eliminate any confusion that the public might, you know, get into thinking that I'm going to go have fun this weekend and then all of a sudden find out they're closed. This will give them ability to find out beforehand what's going on. I'm a little bit concerned about this solution that you think that you have picked about you serve somebody a drink and you stamp their hand. Does that prohibit me from purchasing 2 drinks and going back and giving one to my wife who's sitting at a table, whatever, or sharing it with a friend, or me not even drinking, having my hand stamped and giving it to somebody else? I mean, you know, there are a lot of alternative things. How do you plan to monitor for those kinds of events? Are the people that are going to be letting them into the rock climbing area or the other, I'll call it restricted areas, are they going to be relying upon something besides just a hand stamp?
What I was told is that anybody that is working that evening will have BASA training, so they should be able to identify anybody that is physically not able to do that. And I know there are people that want to bypass the rule. You know, we will have rules. They will be posted, and hopefully between all the people that we have on staff, those people will get caught.
Well,
I'm trying to think of a good way of...
I don't know that there is a good way. You know, I think, you know, again, I don't know if we're supposed to be discussing liquor-related items, but...
But that's something to think about is, you know, what about that wife who didn't go to the bar?
Well,
You know,
but
and
I mean,
I know my husband always goes to the bar for me. I don't go, so I wouldn't have gotten a stamp, so you're right.
But,
But if
I
he's
mean,
walking-
people could come in from the outside with a little alcohol on their breath or have something in the car that they're, I mean, there's all kinds of ways, Let me ask you one final question. I hope you're going to have insurance and that your insurance company knows that you will be having go-karts that go, I think, 35 miles per hour. Was that?
Well, we have them dialed down to 20 miles an hour, and it's kind of hard to go even 20 miles an hour around the curves, so there's no straightaways. They're not going to be up to 60.
And does your insurance company know that?
Absolutely.
You'll be having liquor available on site?
I can't answer that. I do believe Eliza looked into that. I can get that answered for you.
I'd really be interested in knowing what kind of, restrictions or security recommendations that your insurance company might be imposing on you to.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure they will have some regulations, and I think that, we should probably be aware of,
Okay.
if there are regulations, what they are, so we can monitor them as well. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I guess, before I go to Commissioner Johnson, I guess the last question you had, Commissioner Styland, is that our purview to, or is that more of a liquor commission question that needs to be answered?
It may be, but, I'll just.
I'm just curious.
I just throw it out there. It would be something that I would be interested in if we're here to look at security issues. It would seem like their insurance company probably would have a greater or just as much interest in security as we do. So.
I guess to the petitioner, I would be prepared if that could probably be discussed when you go before the Liquor Commission. So,
Okay.
Commissioner Johnson,
I have nothing further on this.
Commissioner Powers.
Yep. To piggyback a little bit, just so I understand, so, it's kind of documented when you do go before the commission. Will there ever be a scenario where you will have an event, even with, let's just say an event with no liquor, where you will allow the public to come in and use the track? So you have the public using the track and you have a party going with no liquor at the same time? Or are you saying that if there's a party there, the only people that will be able to use the track are the people who are going to the party?
Our establishment does have parties rooms in it, and that is how we do make some money. Moms will say, oh, I want my son to have his party there, and book a party room, bring 10, 15 kids. And so, of course, yes, we have parties that have no alcohol, and we still are open to the general public at the same time.
Okay.
That can happen. But the type of party that I'm talking about is where they'll actually, put down $3,000 to $5,000 to secure their private party, and we will close to the public. And that's the type of party I'm talking about, that we would, if they're interested in alcohol at that party, then we want to be able to serve them. I mean, we.
And at the point in time where you're going to serve alcohol at a party, the public would not be able to race cars there? I guess what I'm trying to distinguish, when the public's going to be able to go there. If you have a party with no liquor, will they be able to go? If they have a party with liquor, they won't be able to come. And then, if it's going to go that way, because I'm kind of confused on that. And then, do you check everybody's hand stamp, whether you're selling liquor or not? Or, that's kind of how you're going to check everybody's hand, whether you have liquor or not? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to get to, because I think that the commission would probably want to know that.
Well, we wouldn't have the hand stamp unless we were serving liquor. Okay. And yes, then we would be checking everybody's hand. It would that would be the rule. One of
So as soon
rules
as the
that we
liquor
would-
got in there, everybody's hand, no matter, if for some reason, it was still open to the public for a while, or everybody's hand's going to be checked?
Yeah, there's no public going to be in there.
Okay.
I mean, because it does take time to set up for a party. So it will be actually, anybody, before we set up for this party, we will close.
So the stipulation is if you're having a party with liquor, the public will, it'll only be strictly for the party, the public will not be there. However, if it's a birthday party or something where there's not liquor, the public will be allowed to come. And you'll dictate whether the public can come or not, depending on the function for that particular day. Is that correct?
They would book a private party where they actually take over the whole
Okay.
building. And that's what we're talking about, where the public wouldn't be invited. We would actually close our business to the public.
Okay.
So they would not be in the building.
So you can't have
during
a
that party.
scenario where you would be serving liquor and having the public there.
No.
Right. And I think we're going to put a condition in there that will say that.
Yeah, and I think that's all I have.
A couple of things. I just don't, I can understand the need, and I'm okay with the need. I just don't know, to what Commissioner Stein was saying. I don't know how anybody will ever police this. And, I don't know. I mean, you could do wristbands, but if somebody doesn't go up to get the wristband, it really, this seems to be the most effective way. And I think that if the bartenders that are serving alcohol see somebody come up with two drinks, they've got to be knowledgeable enough to say, are these both for you, or are you giving it to somebody else? If somebody else is, then that person needs to come up. And we can't control that. That's the only thing. To your point about the insurance, I would assume that that's got to be something that, internally you guys are going to have to work with, because they're going to need that, and they're not going to want it. The insurance company's not going to want any surprises with the liability of drinking and driving. And just clarify, do you have remote stops on
Yes.
your go-kart? So again, if you see erratic behavior, something's irrespective if they're drinking or not, you're going to stop the carts anyway.
Correct.
Okay, and that's probably another way to do that. And I don't have any other questions or comments. Does anybody else? No. So Andrew, if you could read the conditions that we have.
Number 1, that access to the go-kart track area shall be restricted to patrons who have not consumed alcohol. Number 2, that the screening method for drivers, such as use of an ultraviolet stamp system, or I should say invisible ink stamp system, shall be reviewed and approved by the police department. And number 3, that the facility shall be closed to the general public during private events where alcohol is served.
One question. Yes. You mentioned the rock wall, the rock climbing wall too. That's off limits if you're drinking?
Well, it's like 16 feet high. I think if somebody was drinking, we don't want them 16 feet high.
But
Even if they're safe in the...
You're checking for the stamp there too?
Absolutely. I didn't talk to Audie about that, but I think that would be considered, definitely. They'd have use of the arcade room.
So
And
should
then
that be
also,
added?
the cart is set up where there's, like a lounging area where people can socialize and sit and relax and watch the drivers. So, there's enough, interaction with the driver. They drove once, they're going to watch their friends drive now and take a break and be social. I mean, that's part of having a party like this, is
I was
social
just
time
asking
and...
if we need to add that as part of the condition, or?
Sure, I can type it in. That's fine.
Great, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Dorban. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Johnson, I vote yes. Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers?
Yes.
Commissioner Stylen?
I'm going to say no.
And Chairman Ruffado?
Yes.
Okay, we have 4 yes, 1 no, and 2 absent.
Commissioner Steinman?
Yes.
Could you explain your, no?
I have a concern about being able to monitor the drinking and driving effectively. I think there's an awful lot of loopholes, but I'm sure the police department will come up with a steadfast.
Yeah, sure they will. Thank you. Motion to close?
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
You'll have something to sign.
We will schedule this for the board. Most likely, we'll wait for the Liquor Control Commission to be convened. It would be the same night so that the board can review both aspects together.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are they open yet?
We just got our occupancy today, we just passed everything, we're hoping to open on the 20th.
Great.
30 bucks for 3 weeks.
The inspectors had a busy day today.
We got to inspect this one more time.
We'll wait for it to sign. The approval of minutes for July 25th. I saw one error, Mr. Jennings, on page 5 of, let's see, on the roll call, it was for docket number 2013-12A and B on the top. I'm sure that Commissioner, oh, there it is. I'm sorry. I'm fine. Oh, I was looking at the nays, and the ayes were on the 4, so
Okay.
I didn't have any issues. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay, great. On to the next agenda item, other business. Mr. Jennings?
You have a few things to cover. Our meeting next week is a workshop with our attorneys, land use law review and refresher. We had the only question that we're planning to send them in advance was the question that came up during the parking regulations relating to whether or not a separate set of regulations could be established for owner units and rented units. So we have forwarded that question. If you have any other questions that you think of through this week, please get them to us so that we can send them to our attorneys. Otherwise, they will most likely just they'll be preparing an overview of the special use review. I think that was the request from the joint meeting May 30th. So that's what they are intending to do. If you have any special requests for the meeting, please send them to us. We can forward them along. Similarly, we have a hearing next week for the industrial lane redevelopment plan, which is an amendment to the comprehensive plan. If you have any questions for the consultant, you'll be getting your packet tomorrow with the report on that topic that has been prepared by the consultant. So if you have any questions, please forward them to us so we can have the consultant prepare that.
Andrew, is that going to be basically the same kind of presentation discussion that was given to the village board a few weeks ago?
Yes, it's the report that the board saw, the same draft of their report, and what we're looking for in this meeting is opening a public hearing so that that report can be adopted as an amendment to the comprehensive plan. Any other questions on that?
No.
The next item we have is we're looking at our schedule for August. A couple of items that we had that we thought would be ready for the 22nd are not going to be ready. So rather than schedule a separate special meeting to conduct a van tour, we are looking at having that van tour take the 22nd meeting in order to ensure that we can get around before it gets dark, although it's not a huge concern. We were going to convene at 5:30. As you can see, it's 7:30 now. It's starting to get a little bit dark to see some landscaping. So what we'd like to just double check and make sure that's okay. So far, everyone who has responded to us has said that it is okay. Is there anyone who would not be able to make a 5:30 start?
That's the 22nd, correct?
That is the 22nd.
I'm good.
Then
Have you picked any themes that we're going to try and?
our usual
look for?
theme is new construction. If there's anything out of the last few topics, there's nothing that says we have to stay in Wheeling. If you wanted to see, if you watched the board meeting or attended the board meeting this week, there was the discussion of Northgate Crossings. The petitioner during the discussion mentioned an apartment complex that is near here. It's certainly within easy driving distance. If you'd like to see that, I'm sure we could probably arrange. I don't think the folks that we borrow the van from will ever know. So
It doesn't stop at the city limit?
I guess one of the things that I would like to look at, not knowing much about landscaping, but to look at some of the older establishments, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when we did something to see how landscaping has held up over time. You know what I mean? Just to see if they have changed things, if things had died out, et cetera, just to get idea of what we might be able to do better. But that's just a suggestion on my
And
part.
I think one of them I would like to see is factory here that was doing some major landscaping, I think it was last year, and they make parts for the Weber kettles and things like that. It was over just south of here. Can't think of the name of the place.
Oh, is that the one where they were combining the two buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of buildings they had, and there was a detention pond, and they were adding some structures, outside structures, to store stuff.
Oh,
I'd like to see how that turned out. Yeah, I haven't gone back there. Remember that one? I can't.
is that the one just east of the tracks?
It would be east of the tracks.
It would be east of
Yeah,
the tracks.
Like across from,
It was like near Hall Walking
remember the one that they
Drive.
connected, they had
Yeah,
two separate
yeah, yeah.
buildings they connected?
Right,
EA Weber
Yeah.
connected.
right.
They are not the same people.
No, but they do make parts for,
EA Weber makes, food, yes.
no, this wasn't a food flavoring place, but I know which one you're talking about, but this, I'll have
I
to.
do
go-
remember somebody in front of us talking about
Yeah.
part of the Weber Grill
They make.
component.
They make a component for that, and,
Gosh, who was that? Yeah, the box.
right,
They
yep.
Indec.
In-
Not Indec.
Not Indec.
Inland Capital.
Yes.
Inland Capital? Inland Die Casting.
Right. And they were doing a lot of landscaping, and they were putting up a structure outside to store things I'd like to see. And that was last year.
Yes.
Right. I'd like to see, hopefully they have their landscaping in, and we can see how that was a year later.
Sure.
But I agree with Commissioner Steinle, that would be a good idea, because I know we've done that in the past, looking at places like that.
Well, I mean, last year we went around looking at masonry structures, and I think I learned a lot about precast concrete panels and how they can be made to look immensely different. Landscaping is something that I don't think we follow up too often on, so it'd just be interesting to see.
And then, of course, obviously, some new construction, too.
Sure, we have a couple of hangars. The Dunkin' Donuts is up.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
The additional row of houses at Mildred Point is up now.
Yes, I see those all the time. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Great.
Okay.
Anything else?
And if anything comes up throughout the week, just send it
Email.
to us. Right, we've got a few weeks to plan that. It's not
Okay, so
critical.
5:30 that day. Okay, cool.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right. Other business, Commissioner Dorbin?
I have a couple things. What's up with Starbucks at Lexington and Lake Cook?
Or town.
The building's gone, but are we moving along?
We are moving along. I believe that they are, as of today, nearing permit issuance for the construction itself. There's a permit component related to the building itself, and then there's a permit component related to the interior of the building. So we are, I believe, near issuing the permit to start that work.
Okay. The other question I have, it seems that there is excessive signage on the grocery store that is west of Wolf on the north side of the street.
On Dundee.
On Dundee, correct.
Okay?
Can we just look at that? Thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner
Did,
Johnson?
did the cell phone,
That looks better. I think that's better now.
They have been visited, but I don't know the outcome of the visit.
Commissioner Johnson?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Powers?
Nothing.
Commissioner Steinle?
just a general question, the docket that we skipped tonight, the banquet facility on South Wolf Road, is that in the Wolf Point, Camp McDonald, Wolf Road
it is.
Shopping Center?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell us anything more about what might be coming?
It's the owner of the shopping center is proposing renovations to the largest vacant unit there to open a banquet facility. It's proposed, it's going to be, they're revising some of the plans, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 to 500 seat banquet facility. And
Should be nice.
And they would, it's the owner establishing it as a new business and then hiring a professional management company to manage the banquets.
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Again, the daycare center on McHenry Road, those bushes on the side are still dead. And I've been asking for months. Now, I know it's probably a little late, but it's ridiculous that those things are still not replaced.
And the two sole lone park trees on there?
Yeah.
But weren't they,
We had two.
didn't
we
they
did
have something where
two-
they didn't actually do all the landscaping they were supposed to anyway?
We did have two different businesses who had notices related to dead shrubs recently. One of them replaced them, and I believe it was actually the daycare center. And then the
I was
other
just
one,
by it on Sunday, and they're not replaced. They're still dead.
But what I was going to say though is we also have worked with businesses to make sure that they install landscaping at a good time. So if it was a bad time, we may have said, wait until September.
If you could get clarification on that.
Sure.
And then also, do they, the daycare center, did we allow private parties? I assume they're only open 5 days a week. Was there anything in their special use that we allowed parties on weekends?
Nothing that I recall, nothing specific that I recall there.
Okay, because I drove by there on Saturday, and as a matter of fact, I had to pull into the parking lot there because I thought I forgot something. And they were bringing stuff in, fresh fruit in to the building. And I didn't think we had allowed that in their special use. Which led me to think about, serving alcohol and something in that environment, if they're hosting parties.
The only thing that I could think of there that I have discussed with them was they have a very nice kitchen, and I believe that they were the official food service of another daycare. So I think that it's possible that that's what you saw, was that the kitchen was being stocked for,
Okay.
because they do cook a lot
If
there.
you could check into that, that'd be great.
I'll check into that.
Great. That's all I had. Anything else for anyone? Your motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion to second to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.